everybody. Welcome to the NAELPA podcast, your space for learning, leadership, and advocacy in multilingual learner education. In each episode, we explore timely topics and bring you perspectives from people doing the work to support our English learners and their families across the nation. Today, we're joined by Taylor Trimble, a longtime educator and advocate in the English learner and multilingual learner space. He currently serves as the executive director at EduSkills, and he brings a rich, boots on the ground perspective from his work with educators and school systems across the country. So, Taylor, we're so glad to have you here. Are you ready to dive in?
Ready to dive in. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored to be involved with the NAELPA organization and look forward to our discussion today. So thank you.
Absolutely. Super excited to sit down with you. I know we get a chance to connect, but not nearly enough. So, I'm excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, likewise, on the screen at least.
Yes, virtually. So, you work with educators and leaders in a wide range of districts across the country. What are some of the most common concerns or priorities that you're hearing from the field right now when it comes to supporting our English learners?
Well, right now we're in I think, a very unique time when it comes to supporting our multilingual students. And really, I think kind of there are three overarching areas that are real challenge right now. I think one new piece is just the politics that is going on related to supporting multilingual students, which I think unfortunately is distracting us and many educators from the important work that we need to be doing with our students. So you have the politics. Then you've got kind of a second piece that has been going on for some time that has its pluses and minuses, but just from a compliance and civil rights standpoint, there are a lot of things that educators are faced with when it comes to supporting students. Then obviously you've got the challenges in the classroom, how to support students, and then outside the classroom, families. So it's quite a few interworking pieces, and as I mentioned, the politics of it all has really kind of taken center stage recently, unfortunately. But in some ways, I think that's bringing a lot of people together to really focus on advocacy for supporting our students and families that are learning English. So obviously, with the negatives, there are also many positives that are coming about.
Yeah, I think to your point around the politics and just sort of as things are shifting, in terms of policies and sort of focus areas with the new administration, I think sometimes it's hard to remember that so much of what we do with our students happens at the local level. And just because a law is rescinded, or just because a dear colleague letter is rescinded, or just because someone no longer maybe is going to come and cite you for not doing the right thing, that doesn't mean you can't still do the right thing. No one's telling any of our districts that they need to be changing anything that they're doing with our English learners. It's just there's going to be less monitoring and less federal oversight. So I guess I would love to challenge our local districts and schools and communities and our state departments to continue to do the right thing on behalf of our English learners and multilingual learners, regardless of what changes in policy and what changes in sort of guidance components.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really at a time where I think takes bold leadership and opportunity for educators, families, and policymakers to come together to expand their support for multilingual students. And at the end of the day, no matter your political persuasion, I think we can all agree that we want students to learn English. So I
Mhm.
think it's important we put aside our politics and ask,
Mhm.
like, what is the
Right,
best way to do that? And
right.
as we know too, the majority of our students that are multilingual English learners were born here in the United States. They're citizens, and we want them to learn English. And so, what's the best approach to make that happen? I think we need to really be asking those questions. And as I say, put politics aside. Look at the research. What does the
Yeah,
research say about best practices? So,
agreed.
hopefully, we'll make some progress there.
Yeah, and maybe do a little myth busting along the way because I don't think that under any prior administration was there ever a focus on students not learning English as quickly as possible. We've always known that while we support, multilingualism, we want students to graduate college and career ready. All of our kids, including our monolingual English speakers who enter kindergarten, we'd love to see them bilingual and trilingual and multilingual, right? If we could. But nobody's ever said we should be encouraging first language and home language development over English and or at the expense of English. So that's something that I wish we could just sort of bust that myth right out the gate because that's never been the case under any policies, any laws, any teacher practice. It's never
Yeah,
been the case.
absolutely. It's important to remember too, Title III funding came about in the Bush administration in the early 2000s. So a Republican administration
Yeah.
that was committed to helping students learn English. And
Yeah.
so when these questions were in question, say over 6 billion federal fundings were being frozen, really caused a lot of question and concern. And fortunately, many Republicans pushed against that, and at least for the time being, got those that funding approved, which really is a lifeline for students and families. So hopeful that advocacy for those funds continues, and frankly, we need more, not less, of those funds.
Yeah. Yeah, if the goal really is to get our students to English and full proficiency as quickly as possible, the absence of that funding is not going to meet that goal at all.
Yeah, it
So,
would disproportionately harm districts with high EL populations, even in Republican states like Texas. So I think it's as I mentioned, we should try to depoliticize this and
yeah,
focus on what students really need.
I totally agree. So let's head that direction with our conversation and talk about sort of the practice of how schools are approaching instruction identification. What are some trends that you see around that instruction component or just the service models with our multilingual learners?
Sure, yeah, no, I think there are a lot of avenues or ways that we could look at kind of some trends that are going on in the space in the classroom, but it does, as you kind of mentioned, all start with identification, accurately identifying students. Sometimes people kind of, I guess, get frustrated with compliance, but really, making sure we identify students correctly is so important. It's really about ensuring every student has a fair shot at success, regardless of the language that they speak. And while I don't want to kind of harp on the politics of this too much, when it comes to identification, one challenge, things that we're seeing is there's a lot of fear and among families, even stating that they speak a language other than English in the home because they think that they're going to be discriminated against, or maybe ICE agents are going to come after them. And so that's one challenge that educators currently need to be aware of, no matter what the student is saying on a piece of paper, to be really kind of informed and in touch with the families to know, does this student potentially need support learning English, even though that they say on paperwork that they are English only family. Um, so kind of really trying to help educators understand the importance of knowing what languages are spoken in the home, and emphasizing helping families understand that that really is an asset that they speak a language other than English that they're bringing into the school, and that they do need to let school districts know about that so that students can get the best support possible. Um, so I think that's one critical piece. It's a challenge right now, just making sure students are identified accurately so that the language is identified, and then assessments are accurately implemented, whatever state it might be, whether WIDA, ALPA 21, or other states like Texas where they use a low language proficiency assessment. Those are assessments. Although while they're only given periodically, are critical to understanding where the student is and critical to driving instruction, individualized instruction for that student in the classroom. So you really can't miss those kind of what we consider compliance pieces and that connection to the classroom. And also being fully aware that students, while they might be learning English, that doesn't mean that they aren't advanced in certain areas. So making
Right.
sure you're really understanding language need, but also academic need, and allowing access for AP classes or CTE programs or college prep programs that really help prepare the student for success and not kind of lumping them in to, oftentimes I think students think of almost more like special ed, which obviously there's a serious need to focus on those types of things too. But there are many very advanced EL students that we
Yeah.
need to really be focusing on what level of instruction and support do they need there.
I think you bring up a really good point. Just um, as we're thinking about, meeting our English learner needs and thinking about just their assets that they bring to the learning context with them. Um, One shift I hope we'll see is just a better opportunity for identification of students who are gifted, who are also ELs and maybe aren't, they don't have the English language to be able to showcase what they know and can do on our standardized testing for talented and gifted programming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And fortunately, now compared to when I was an educator of multilingual students back in the early 2000s, having to come up with my own curriculum. Obviously, I was able to do some web searching, but there was really no real robust curriculum out there. And there are so many good platforms and out there now that utilize technology that have diagnostic assessments and really can help identify those students that might be able to be in those gifted and talented programs. So I think that's one critical piece to understand kind of the assessment piece, language proficiency assessment, but then using the tools that are available to personalize instruction for students, whether it is remediation or providing access to gifted and talented and other programs like that.
Yeah, for sure. So when you think about sustainability and capacity building, what are you seeing that works well when it comes to supporting and developing our educators to meet the needs of our English and multilingual learners?
Well, I think obviously educators, there's such high turnover right now in this politicized environment. I think where I'm seeing the teachers that are higher teacher retention is where administrators and school districts are really focusing on professional development, sustained professional development, high quality professional development, and in-class support. Co-teaching, push in, like as much support as you can provide to teachers, the better. Unfortunately, we're in a situation now where have super high numbers, class sizes,
Yeah.
and so I think one key piece to answer your question is just really providing the professional development, whether it's internal or bringing people out externally that you can connect. Fortunately, we have access to programs now. People are so familiar with Zoom to be able to connect at reduced rates to experts in the field. So I think taking advantage of access to experts in the field is critical to the development of teachers and capacity.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And I think with professional development, to your point about that interconnectivity, I think just giving teachers a tribe so they have the people that they need to support them. So as schools, bring in professional development and high quality training, also just providing that networking across other
Yeah,
districts and maybe even other states and national events like NIALPA, hosts every year, giving teachers and school leaders a place to, again, just build that network of support both inside and outside their district, I think is so important just because I mean, teachers aren't leaving because they no longer love teaching. They're leaving because of all these other extraneous
yeah.
variables that they can't control, and they don't feel enough support to be able to mitigate those. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, at Edge Skills, we do an annual training, back to school training. Dozens, hundreds of educators come, and they always talk about one of the main reasons they come is for that sense of community.
yep.
Within schools, some of the things that I've seen, they're very promising and successful with that capacity and community building, kind of to extend on professional development workshops, which really can't be built as just kind of come and go, zip in, zip out approach. I think what I've seen real successful is pairing experts in the field with teachers, but then having teachers showcase some of the activities that they find successful in the classroom and actually creating days where teachers observe each other. Practicing some of the practices that have shown success to build that community and capacity so other teachers can see how things are working in others' classrooms. Because with so many new, young, or teachers that are inexperienced, it's critical that they don't just understand theory, but actually see in classrooms successful practices. So I
Right.
think to expand on that concept, as you identify with professional development leading to communities, I think that's critical as well.
Yeah, and just having, organizations like NAILPA provide the
Absolutely.
time and space for that ongoing networking, I think is so important. And it's going to become even more important as teachers feel more and more of that strain.
Yeah, no, and I know you guys do a great job of having regular meetups, virtual meetups, coffee meetups where educators can connect with so many experts that NAILPA is connected to. So definitely highly recommend people getting involved with NAILPA. It's really been I've really enjoyed. I think it's been at least 5 years that I've been involved with the organization. It's a wonderful organization to be a part of that gives free access to teachers to all types of resources and support.
Absolutely. So if you had to pick one area that deserves more attention, investment, or innovation in the next, 1 to 3 years to really improve outcomes for our English learners, what would it be and why?
Just kind of building on that concept of building a sense of community. I think community engagement is one critical piece. It's hard to pick one over the other, but over any other because there are so many
Yeah.
critical pieces to supporting students. But I think community engagement is key. Parents understanding, feeling respected in the school, feeling engaged in the school can make such a dramatic impact in the lives of students, the academic and linguistic growth for students. So I think it's critical that schools encourage authentic partnerships with families, multilingual families, not just kind of the compliance check boxes of translating letters or maybe having once a year having some fair where they
Mhm.
have ethnic food. So kind of thinking deeper about
Mhm.
how can we engage communities, how can we connect with what I might call a liaison in the community, so that there's a connection, a real connection between the school and the community, because their parents obviously care for their children. They're just so busy. Sometimes it's so hard to even understand, for some of our communities, even understand how to become involved at the school. So just really finding one person or a few key people that are families, maybe a parent, maybe a business owner in the community that has a vested interest in the success of the school, and building that relationship and discussing how can we better support schools, families, and the community, and coming to those liaisons with kind of humble approach and knowing that as educators, we don't have all the answers. So, kind of really being inquisitive and trying with honesty and integrity, finding out how could we make a difference and support the community in a better way than just, doing those compliance checkoff pieces of translating letters into a specific language. I think that's critical.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think, to your point earlier, and sort of bring this full circle with everything going on right now, um, now more than ever, it's going to take a village, right, for us to be able
Absolutely.
to do this well and to really take ownership at the local level of doing what's right for all of our students.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's so much fear out there, so we really have to push against that and help families, communities feel cared for
Safe.
and
Mhm.
respected. Because if not, they'll shut down and won't
Yeah.
be honest with us, and lie about languages being spoken in the
Yeah.
home, and
Yeah.
then we're not able to provide the critical support that they
Mhm.
need.
Yeah. No, it's something where I think we all have to take some personal ownership and collective ownership of making sure that our communities and schools are safe places for students and families.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Taylor, for joining us, for offering such thoughtful insight into what's happening in the field today. And I want to always thank our listeners for being part of this community of committed educators and leaders. So I want to remind everyone to stay up to date on national conversations and resources for multilingual learner education. Be sure to follow NIOPA on social media and visit them at nialpa.org. And until next time, everyone, keep learning, leading, and advocating for our English learners everywhere.
Thank you so much, Joby.